Well, hello. Today's movie is the 1978 Chuck Norris film, Good Guys Wear Black. 1973, the Paris Peace Conference. Senator Morgan finds out that the North Vietnamese are going to execute 150 CIA prisoners. The Black Tigers, a clandestine CIA group, is sent in to rescue them. Only they find the camp empty of prisoners, but are instead ambushed by the North Vietnamese. Only 5 men escape. Five years later, Major John T. Booker is studying for his Ph.D. in political science. He gets a visit from a reporter investigating the failed rescue mission. He also later gets contacted by a CIA head from that time that 2 of his former teammates have died under mysterious circumstances. There is also a hit out on Booker. He goes to visit another surviving teammate, finds the reporter there, but the teammate gets shot. They do manage to escape this incident. The 2 then go to Squaw Valley to visit the last surviving member, who is a ski instructor. Needless to say, he is also shot. Booker, though, manages to kill the assassin before he can get away. The reporter is going back to Washington when her plane blows up. Another assassin is at work. Booker fights a former South Vietnamese major who was part of the Black Tigers but now works for the CIA. He managed to take this assassin out in a very spectacular manner. He then goes to Washington with the CIA friend, and they find the Undersecretary of State, who worked for the senator. They find out that the senator sacrificed the Black Tigers so the peace deal could go through. Now, of course, the senator is up for the Secretary of State position. So they go and visit him, and find out, of course, he was blackmailed by the North Vietnamese to finish killing the Black Tigers, or his deal would be exposed and he would fail to become Secretary of State. Need to say he's covered his tracks well. So Booker later hijacks his limo and as a chauffeur drives it into the Chesapeake Bay. So this was a 1978 movie starring Chuck Norris. It was his second film. He first gained some recognition from the big fight scene he did with Bruce Lee in the Coliseum in Way of the Dragon. And this is basically an Americanized kung fu movie, kind of. It's a martial arts movie that has distinctly American settings, characters, themes, politics. And, it was one that almost didn't get made. Chuck Norris was trying to sell it. And then finally, the last producer he was going to visit, he finally figured out how to sell it. And it was that, there were like 4 million kung fu aficionados in the country and they knew him. And even if just half showed up, they could make about, it would be like $6 million for a $1 million movie. And the numbers said, okay, it sounds good. Actually, the movie made $18 million on that $1 million budget, with another, about $8 million in rentals. So this movie was a huge money making. It was critically panned, but of course that doesn't matter because the audiences loved it. I know Steve McQueen did give him some advice when he watched it. He was one of his students. He used to Chuck Norris used to teach karate, martial arts. And he criticized that he talked too much in that final scene with the senator. He thought that, supporting characters should do exposition. Personally, I didn't really notice anything wrong. And anyway, also the producers of this movie had trouble getting it distributed. So what they did is they would go around the country, rent theaters, and then just, pocket all the receipts. And I know Chuck Norris was a guy who really hustled to sell this movie. He said he did like over 2,000 interviews and got laryngitis. And this is also, apparently, it was done by Ted Post, who was a director that did a number of good movies, Clint Eastwood ones like Hang 'em High and Magnum Force, did Beneath the Planet of the Apes, went on to do Go Tell the Spartans and The Human Shield. They're good movies. And, this was supposed to be like a series for the character John T. Booker, but that never came about. Although in The Expendables 2, Norris's character was named Booker, kind of in honor of this. Well, while the character didn't go on, Chuck Norris obviously did. He kept making many successful movies. And then came a really big action star when he got into Cannon in the 80s. And, I personally found this to be a fun movie. I mean, it was a fun movie. It had some action. If there's one criticism, it would be maybe during the POW rescue mission. Could have used a little bit more lighting. It was pretty dark. And obviously, this was a time just about 3 years after the Saigon fell. So I suppose there's a lot of cynicism toward Vietnam. And probably easy to believe that, politicians and bureaucrats would sell people out. So that's all I'd say. It's a fun movie. I loved it. And, it started Norris's career. So if you stuck with me for this long, I thank you. You're a unique individual.